Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What up, man? How are you?
I'm doing real good, real good. Just excited to have this interview. And usually when I see real estate investors on social media,
Yeah,
I'm a little leery, right? I'm a little leery because a lot of people talk the game,
yeah,
and it's their hustle. So I'm not gonna hate on it too much,
right.
but I don't want to bring just anybody on to talk about real estate.
Right.
So when I started following you, and then I went to what sold me immediately was when I went to your YouTube. And any of y'all want to know what I'm talking about, if you go to his profile, he has a link right there to the YouTube um, video, right? That talks about how he made $45,000 in 60 days. And he actually shows the numbers. He doesn't just talk about it, he shows the numbers. And I'm like, man, you know your stuff. So before we talk about anything else, I'd like you just to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate,
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure. So, like you said, real estate, that's all I do. I specialize in it. I'm one of those people that I'll try whatever because I refuse to, just go and be controlled in a 9 to 5 and that sort of thing. So I'm like a serial entrepreneur, but when I dive in, I'm like all in. So, believe it or not, I don't have a real lengthy, real estate career. I haven't been doing this for 5, 10, 20 years. Like I'm still new. I'm still learning every day. But, I've been really, really blessed, fortunate. And I think, it's a real testament to, if you're passionate about something and if you lead excuses out of it and really go after it, like things, will happen. It's like magic. It's crazy. So, for me, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I don't know if people know that. And, Columbus, this market where we live is one of the hottest real estate markets, just because we have so many people moving here on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of that has to do with where we're positioned in the country. And so a lot of people don't know. So Columbus, they call Ohio the heart of it all. And that is because really we are in the center of the country, even though it doesn't look like it on the map, but we're within a 3 days drive to anywhere else in the country. And so what that means is that for logistics and trucking and big business, shipping and getting things to places, we're perfect. Amazon, Facebook is moving here now, and so those kind of things bring people jobs, right? And so that people need places to live. So whether it be housing, in terms of single family or apartments, people need places to live, and so it's just supply and demand. And the demand has been growing for years now, and so it's a situation where it's a lot of gentrification going on, and just areas even outside the city are just growing, and so it's really exciting to be a part of it.
Oh, all right, perfect. So you said you haven't been in real estate long um, for you to get the success. What got you into real estate in the first
Yeah,
place?
yeah. So it's a crazy story. I grew up not too far from downtown, just in the hood, little hood, not too far from, like, I guess right now it's probably the hottest part of the whole city. But growing up, it was just nobody wanted to live there, and we moved around a lot. But this was always home. It was my grandmother's house, and so my grandma died in 2009. And a lot of times, just like inner city in the hood, when that happens, we don't know how to deal with the pain. We don't know how to deal with the person's affairs. Maybe their affairs aren't in order. And so what happens is that house is sitting in a probate situation where it needs to be transferred either to a family member or the city will take it. But you still have taxes that's due every year on that house. And so, the house sat vacant after my grandmother passed because, my other family members really didn't know what to do or how to do it. Real estate has always been one of those things that, if you're on the outside looking in, you think it's this grand thing beyond you, right? And that holds a lot of people back. And so, you know, for my family, it held them back for about 10 years. And so, you know, finally in 2019, I decided to go downtown and just figure out how to get the house transferred. I knew it was only a matter of time before the city was going to take the house because property taxes and stuff like that, I know I was paying them at one point, and they stopped calling me to pay them. And so I go downtown, and, you know, just luckily, they're like, hey, you know, it's $11,000 due in taxes, and you got till tomorrow to bring them down here, or the house is being auctioned off on Friday. It was Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, fortunately, I was able to put the money together. You know, I raised the money. I was able to save the house, pay the taxes, and then, you know, begin the process of trying to get it transferred now, you know, through the probate process. And so, paid the taxes, got it through, you know, hired an attorney, cost me like $4,000, and, you know, took possession of the property officially for about 15 grand. And so, you know, the house has sat pretty much vacant. You know, I had family members moved in, you know, still needed places to stay. I mean, it's a house that's, you know, paid off, outside of, you know, paying taxes. But they move in, you know, live for a little while, get back on their feet, move out, that kind of thing. And so, you know, when I got in there, I had to bring the property up. So what I decided to do, because it was so close to downtown, was to Airbnb the property. And so I found a contractor through a friend of mine, and we renovated the property. I put maybe 30,000 or something like that in it, and you know, was able to make it really nice. And we Airbnb'd it, and we did really, really well. And so, you know, by going through the process, figuring out how houses are taken if taxes are not paid, I found a house up the street, and that was through the tax auction. Somebody didn't pay the taxes, and so I went to the auction, and I bid on this house, and I won. And I remember when I won the auction, everybody turned around looking like, man, this guy's stupid, he overpaid. But because I was from the neighborhood, I understood, I could see that the neighborhood was changing. And so it was, you know, still a little early on the change. And yeah, bought that house, Airbnb, my grandma's, bought that one, renovated, sold them too, and then I just took off, and it was like, man, this is what I decided to do for the rest of my life.
Wow. So you're telling me you started this last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, in the 2018. So in the 2018, you know, I went through the process, renovating the house, all of 18. When I sold it in 2019, actually on my birthday, I found out more about real estate. I went to a seminar, and you know, I was asking people while I was renovating the house. Let me just tell you guys how it really works. So I'm sure people on the live, they see the "We Buy Houses" sign and stuff like that, right? So people who put those signs up, what they're doing is really marketing to people who may need to sell their house for the same reason that I bought my grandmother's house, which is, you know, maybe it's a house that they've inherited, or, you know, it's behind on taxes, or maybe the couple is going through a divorce, anything like that. And so what happens is people are driving, getting off the freeway, see that sign, and they say, you know what? I got this house that's free and clear. I need to sell it, make this 50,000 and solve whatever my problem is. And so I used to see those signs while I'm renovating my grandmother's house, and I'm renovating the house up the street. And I would ask the people, and they would never give me the game. They wouldn't tell me. They're like, oh, man, we'll sit down, we'll have coffee, and, you know, I'll show you how it's done and stuff. Give me the
I run into that all the time.
Yeah, and so just persistent. And finally, a guy, you know, he told me to look up a guy. And I looked that guy up on YouTube, and I enrolled in YouTube University. And I like kept it on all day long, taking notes, trying to apply it one thing at a time. And then, you know, I was just like I said, I go all in. So I found a little small office space. A friend of mine had just quit her job. I'm like, hey, come help me out, and let's build this company. And so that's what we did. We started sourcing, finding the houses directly. Because before, like I told you, I found a house through the city. That's all I had. And I knew the key was to getting it direct, right? So nobody's able to put their overhead on. You make your money in anything when you buy it, not when you sell it. And so by getting it direct, meaning getting it directly from the seller, the owner of the house, means that I would say $10, $15, $20, $30,000 on my purchase price. And so I made that the focus. And so we built the system around finding the houses. It's not a new system. It's nothing that I came up with. It's we buy houses. That model, right, is finding that person that is going through something that needs to sell. And so, you know, we start finding them that way and just renovating them and selling them and you know, leading with good intentions. You know, like leading with doing the right thing, leading with the idea that this person is really going through something and that we can solve a problem. And that on the back end, when we renovate it, we're going to really do a good job so that the new person is happy with the house as well. And so, you know, all those things have really just kind of allowed us to grow really, really fast.
Okay. So you're more into the buy and flip.
Yes and no. I'm into everything. And so I do a little bit of what's called wholesaling, which I will buy them and we will sell them to other investors if they don't fit what is our strategy. Or we'll buy them if the numbers look good and do a quick rehab, which is the one that you see on YouTube. We bought that one, really quick turnaround, numbers were good, put it back on the market. And then, you know, we also will buy them and they need a ton of work and we will do that as well. Those are my favorite kind, is like when they need a lot of work is, you know, really when typically the worse shape they are, the more money you can make. That's typically how it goes, but it's going to, you know,
cost more.
Yeah, it's going to cost more. It's going to, you know, but you'll get it out if you stick it out.
Okay, well, so that's good. So then, before I go forward, a question that just popped in my mind to ask is, how much money would you say someone needs to get started? Zero.
You don't need money to get in this business, man. And I think that's the part that holds a lot of people back, is that they think that you need, really? You?
Well, no, I own, right? And I'm actually in the process of buying another one. But I mean, holds me back in the sense of doing it like you do. Me, I'm more house hacking. So I bought a property, multi-unit. I live in one. I rented out. I made sure that the rents could pay everything, even my cable bill, right? My gas, electric, and then I have a few bucks in my pocket, even after the commute, right? And then now, for some reason, which I don't understand, the prices of houses went up. I thought it was going to go down, but the prices of houses actually shot up.
Man.
So, and this is Rhode Island, Massachusetts. You know, it's a little higher than Ohio, from what I heard. But
yeah,
so yeah. So I'm actually in the process of looking to refinance, and then I'm gonna take that and because I work in Boston, I'm gonna use the FHA again and buy another 3-family in Boston, doing it that way. But just how to, even before then, how to like really, I always see properties because I do these interviews, people ask me questions, they hit me up, just like how to get involved. It was to the point when I was watching your video, I told my wife, I'm like, man, I have all this vacation time. I think I might use a week, go down to Ohio and ask this dude if I could
pull up, man. Pull up, man. I have you be like, man, I'm ready to go home. I have this rock. Because I love it so much, I just drive around. I actually just got off the road just a second. You know, we, you know, fortunate to have another person start on our team. And so, you know, we were riding the neighborhoods and, you know, talking about different projects and stuff and explaining what affects prices and stuff like that. And so I'll have you kidnapped all day riding around. You'll be asleep and I have to pack you a lunch and stuff because I love it too much, man. So you got to love it that much if you come, because that's what you're going to end up doing.
Well, I am with it. So one thing I liked, right? So prior to real estate, what were you doing? Because you say you were a serial entrepreneur. Like, what were you doing prior to that?
So right, you know, into real estate, I was actually into children's clothing design. So if you go on Instagram at Preston Miles Kids, or Gilbert and Livingston, those were two of the clothing companies that I was running. And, you know, with the Preston Miles Kids line, it was a high-end denim line. And so I went out to LA, found a factory, designed the jeans, and same thing I'm doing in real estate, was just figuring out day by day. And we were fortunate to get in some higher end department stores. We were in Barney's, and you know, carried us a little bit, and retail started changing. And so, you know, I was able to jump ship into real estate right on time, where, you know, it was like going more direct to consumer and, you know, selling online, because I didn't know anything, you know, how to evolve like that. So I was a fashion designer. I was in design, man, just clothing. That was my life. I was really, you know, dibbling in that more than anything else, probably since my 11th grade year, for real.
Okay, so that's good. So, because I noticed your last post, you talked about a back to school drive
Yep.
in 2018. So,
Yep.
And not 18, 2008, way back. So, tell me a little bit about that. I love to see when people are giving back.
Yeah. So, you know, that actually was an event that I put on through my, you know, clothing company. And, you know, it's funny, man. Life, I had kids, and my whole perspective on life changed and what was important to me. And I started looking at the community different, and looking at, you know, the kids and what they're going to, you know, be, and that sort of thing. Like, the whole idea of what's important to me started to change. And so, you know, for me, it was about seeing little kids that come from where I came from, that I know needs the basics, right? Like, and you know, I just wanted to have an opportunity to give back. And so, you know, I organized a book bag drive, called friends that I had, and, you know, I had people who would come DJ. You know, we bought food, bought book bags, filled them up with all the supplies. You know, I put out a press release, and we had really good support from the community. We did it at a local rec center, and you know, they had a little water park, and you know, it one, helped us get the company name out there, you know, in the city, and two, it was all about being able to, you know, show people that for us, it's about the youth, right? The line, everything that the brand represents. Just like, if you know, if any of the followers go to Gilbert and Livingston, it's all about positivity. It's about, you know, teaching kids, you know, the most important habits, you know, putting first thing first, and, you know, treating others the right way, and that sort of thing. And so those little things were weaved into, you know, like the book bag drive and in the lines. And so, you know, having that just made me feel like, you know, how I felt when it's funny. So when I grew up, we would go to, you know, church donations. We have a charity here called Charity Newsies and stuff, and get clothes and that sort of thing. And so, you know, understanding the importance of it really was, you know, what led me to do that. And so it just felt really good.
Well, no, that's good. That's good. So one thing I want to put out there to a lot of people are like, man, he started last year and he's already doing $45,000 deals. Is you paid your dues early on, so that when you got into real estate, you already understood business, you already had capital, that it allowed you to hit the floor running. Because a lot of people,
I wish that was the case.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that wasn't the case, man. Like for me, I don't know. What's money, right? What's capital? I mean, in real estate, you know, being able to rustle up $10,000, $11,000, $20,000, that, you know, that's cool, but that's not really any money. You know, like, you have to really be able to put together real relationships and understand the power of how money works. I cashed out pretty much what I needed to cash out to be in real estate. And so, you know, it wasn't always easy. We had to do whatever. Like, you know, when you waiting on a house to close and, you know, you got your money tied up, that's not the way money works, you know? And so those were the lessons, you know what I'm saying? So.
You went from there. All right. No, so that's good. So I know, so you do flips, you do wholesales. It sounds like, if I'm right, you do some buy and holds if it works out, right?
We'll do a buy and hold for like an Airbnb. So
for Airbnb.
We have a couple properties right now. Everything's kind of on hold. But as soon as, you know, Airbnb is back going, you know, that was the first thing I've done that was been successful, and it just makes sense. You know, I like, if I'm gonna do buy and hold, it'd be big. Like, we're working on a huge development. There's gonna be like 100 units. That for me is buy and hold. You know, because it makes sense to hold something that big. The cash flow is good. I don't want to buy and hold, you know, something small and have to deal with, you know, a tenant every time something breaks and that sort of thing. You know, much rather, you know, my wife has a hospitality background, so Airbnb just came natural for us. So I much rather do that, and you can make triple the money a month with half of the problems. Like, you know, it just makes way more sense for me.
Perfect. My wife just riled. Whoa, yes. As soon as you said you work with your wife.
Oh yeah. So, you know, for me, man, it was about, I mean, it's important. You know, if you got somebody who, you know, is around, your wife, your friend, your partner, you know, it's all about how many people can we do this with together, right? We stronger together. Whatever, you got a network of people, I'm sure you can put together another person. You know, I believe in a mastermind principle. And I don't know if people really know what a mastermind principle is, but it's the idea that really, you know, you can accomplish way more with two people. You can accomplish more in a year than you would in 10 years probably by yourself, just by having a second person. And so, you know, for me, it was a no-brainer, you know, when I got into real estate, for example. And even, you know, in fashion, my wife would hit the road. We'd be in trade shows, setting up the booth together. And like, she's a roller. Like, and when I get into real estate, she went to school, became a realtor. We're like, why would we give up, you know, that 3%, 4% every time we sell a property when we can be keeping that in the household? And so, you know, that's what I believe. That's what I do it for.
I like that. No, I like that. That teamwork and working with your significant other. Because you'll be shocked. There's a lot of people that their significant other, if it's the husband or if it's the wife, vice versa, the other person wants to help out, wants to be involved, and they just keep them pushed out, don't want them involved. And I'm just like, man, if you have that team, if you have that support, why not have them, you know, involved with that? So that is powerful. And one thing I push, and I noticed, because I don't know, I think it was one of your stories or live, you had the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I put out there, because when I start talking about I'm going to help, because so real quick, my story, and not to take up too much time, is 2016, like 2007, I went to Alabama working for U.S. Steel as a co-op. And man, they wine, dined me, took care. It was amazing. They paid, all I had to show up with was my clothes on my back and a car to get from my apartment. They paid for everything else. They had towels, spoons, everything. 2008, they were like, yo, finish school and most likely you're going to get hired. We're going to bring you back. So I'm like, all right, perfect. I drove from Alabama back to Massachusetts. November 2008, the economy crashes.
Man.
So not knowing money, all these built like cards, going to the club, credit cards start coming due. It was bad. So then I couldn't find a job because experienced people or whatnot. And this is 2008. So from there, I started promoting, wasn't good with my money. And I started, and in 2016, and I got the reminder, I got this book on audio. It was like April, and like 2 a.m. in the morning, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Me too.
And I've read a lot of books because I was in network marketing, and a lot of people hate on network marketing, but they teach you that mindset.
Yeah.
So I read a lot of books, and I heard of The Richest Man in Babylon. But when I read that book, it seemed like it just broke everything down to the bare bones minimum. I feel like all the other books use The Richest Man in Babylon
for real
to build on.
Yeah. So
that's when I was like, yo, my dad, he owned properties before I was born, right?
Okay.
He said that when I was born, he did not want me being born in someone else's house. So he had that, and he told me the story. Then he had a rental. So I was like, Emmanuel, what are you doing? My credit score was below a 600. And I was like, you know what? It's April 2016. And I'm like, by the end of the year, I'm going to own a property. That's what I said. So I started looking, how can I fix my credit? I was like, whoa, this is going good. Then I found out you only need a 620 to get a house. I'm like, what? And then so as I kept going, like I went, and by the end of the year, I didn't have the house, but I signed the purchase and sale.
Nice. Bro,
so my goal.
You said it, you went after it, and that's what happens, man. I think a lot of people understand that. But finish telling me. So you signed at the end of the year, closed.
I closed. So it was so easy. I was sitting in the closing like, is this it? I was shocked of how easy it was. Like I thought like I got hooked. I was like this. So I made it my mission to tell people how easy it is to purchase a home. And when I started doing my studies of how to teach them, I'm like, most people know what's to do to buy a home, especially in the United States.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the mindset. So when people come to me to get help about buying a home, my thing is like, yo, I could tell you what to do, and you know it already. Yeah. You need to believe that you could own a home regardless of where you are. So when I saw you reading the Rich Man, Poor Dad and going through your daily stuff, that's amazing. So if you could talk a little bit about what are 3 books you would recommend people to read?
Man, that's a good question. And I'm glad you asked that and I'm glad you said that too, because I think for real, that is the number one thing that holds people back, is that they are, afraid to pick up a book or go to a seminar, or they think that it's a scam, or, that somebody just got lucky and now they selling a book because why not keep making money, right? No, the information is there, man. And so for me, Richest Man in Babylon, that actually changed my life. And I'll tell you why real quick. It's important. When I talk about raising the money or having a little bit of money that I had in order to save my grandma's house and rehab, it was because I started putting away 10% of everything that I made. And so that is one of the principles in the Richest Man in Babylon, is to put away 10%.
Number one.
Yeah, and only use that to make more money, kind of thing, right? And so that is what I did. It was huge for me. Definitely Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would recommend that book. And then, the third one is tough, but I would say.
Okay, you can do 5. You can do 5.
5, okay. So
I'll make it easy for you.
5 would be, so number 3 would be 17 Principles of Success. It's a book by Napoleon Hill. Is it Napoleon Hill? Maybe Napoleon Hill, but 17 Principles of Success. That book right there, it huge. I mean, a lot of principles for me, coming from the hood, like we were taught, you don't put people in your business, you don't network, you don't do that. Like, you just don't. Like, people ask you what you do, like, what are you asking for? You count my pockets, but that's not how the world works, right? No. So that taught me that. I say there's a new book I just started reading. I would say put that on the list. It's called The One, and it talks about the one thing that you can do today to move the needle, right? I think a lot of time, for me anyway, because I'm trying to get it every single day. I got 20 things on my to-do list. What's the one most important thing that if you don't do nothing else, you do to move the needle forward? So that's another one. And then 5, if you're going to get into real estate, this book right here. This is a good book. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And so it really will put together the whole play for you and show you how to run it. And they have another one too. So if you're a realtor or you know a realtor, they have another one. It's a guy who started the Keller Williams company. He wrote that book, and he wrote another one called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And so it talks about the strategies of finding a house, building a team, the importance of it, having core values, all of the things that are, important to grow. So I would say those would be the top books.
Okay.
A lot of books, man.
So what I'm going to do for the viewers, I'm going to actually put a link together with all these books. So if you didn't get them, don't worry about it. But a book that I will add to that is The Compound Effect by Darren Harden. That's it, man. It just talk about when you basically, if you bite into a burger right now, your buttons on your shirt or your belt's not gonna burst open. But if you do it over time, it will.
Yeah.
And and he did an extremely good job. So that's why I'll say that The Compound Effect. Yeah.
And that's really how money works. Down like the principles of money is allowing the money to compound, allowing the money to work for you. I think that in America it's all about, people think that you jump on that rat wheel and you just go, and that's how you make money. But wealthy people, they don't work for money. Money works for them. And that's the mindset that once you get that part, it's over with, because having your money make money, little money babies running around, that's the goal. Because then so it's a story, and I'm actually gonna put the story out here in a little while, but it's a well-known story. It's called The Parable of the Pipeline, and its story is it's about, I'm gonna just paraphrase it real quick. It's about two cousins who lived in like a third world country, right? And the little village that they grew up in, it didn't have water. The mayor of the village or whatever asked them.
I heard that story. It's amazing.
Into the river, right? So he said, "Hey, you guys go get the water from the river, bring it to the village, and I'll pay you." And so one of the cousins said, "All right, cool, we'll go get the water every day." But the other cousin said, "I'm gonna dig a pipeline." And so for the rest of his life, the one cousin was always carrying the water back and forth, while the other one had that pipeline flowing. The water was just going. He was getting paid. He on vacation, doing whatever he want. And so that's the difference, right? Like if you always wake up, you have to go, to work. You can't never really have your money working for you, right? But if you make the investments, and then the money can start working for you, then now you can start to enjoy life, because that's what it's about. And so, even if you work a 9 to 5, it's about having that income to support whatever happens. And so, it's just that security that comes with it.
I know. Oh, no, that's perfect. And one key part about that story is the guy that was with the buckets early on, he was making all the money. Yeah. And the guy that was, engineering a way to get that water down,
slow down.
Everybody thought he was crazy. Like, yo, this dude's making money. But once he had that pipeline going, the other guy started hiring more people and burning through money. So it's all about and what I took from that is not to have analysis paralysis where where I'm studying what to do all the time, but you still want to have a good footing that you plan it out, that you're thinking in the long term, that whatnot. Yeah. So that's great. So on this feed, I have some people that are real estate investors. I'm not sure if they're on, or agents and whatnot. And one of the things that you spoke about in your 1200 Dutton Place deal review, you talked about being able to get money from other people for these deals and actually take care of them to the point where they're begging you to take their money for another deal. Yeah. So if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, it goes back to having your money work for you, right? A lot of times people, they work all their life, they have a 401k, money sitting still, or, you work hard, you buy a house, and you live in that house, and now you got equity in that property. A lot of people don't know it's really easy to tap into that money, and you can use that money. Like, for instance, going back to the 401k, a lot of people have a 401k, and this is really important because a lot of people's 401k got tapped out. I think 50-60% of America's wealth that was in 401ks is tapped out due to COVID-19. And so, you got to diversify. But having your 401k be what's called self-directed means now you can take control of that money and you can put it where it will begin to work for you. A lot of people don't know your 401k, that maybe your job got set up for you, is eating up your money in fees. You think you're going to retire rich, and then, these fees done killed you all your life. And so, it's smart to get that money like self-directed, which is easy and cheap. and now start finding people like me invest and get that money working and make 12% on that money as opposed to it making 0.1% a year. Like for instance, in a money market, right? So most banks, they have like what's called a money market account, and you put it in there, and they'll pay you 1% a year, 1%.
And that's if you get a good account.
Yeah, it's lower than that right now, but you have to keep it in that account. You can't do anything with it. But what the better thing to do with that money is to lend it smart, right? Real estate backed investments means that, like for instance, me, I work with people like that all the time, and they lend me their money. I'll use that money to do, a rehab or to buy a house and sell it, and they'll make 12% or 10% or 8% on their money. And for them, it is way better, and it's backed by real estate, meaning that they are my bank, right? So, having a mortgage on your property, your name is on the paperwork, but if you don't pay that mortgage, what happens? The bank can come and collect that property, right? And so that for them is security, because they really can't lose. If I don't do what I say I'm going to do, they foreclose on the property. I bought it at a price that they will have at least 30% equity in it, right? And so now it is something that they can use to continue to build wealth with money that would just be sitting around otherwise.
Okay, so when you lend, and this is important for people to understand if they are out there and have this cash, is these people are secure on the property. So you go through the paperwork that their name's on the property. So if the property doesn't sell or whatever, and they still have something there that their money just does. You just don't call them up like, man,
not a handshake
man, they didn't make the money. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, my phone ring, I'm gonna call you right back. Then none of that. That's not how it happens. No. So it's a simple process. And again, it goes back to, it sounds really, really complicated, but what happens is and this isn't just for people who may or may not have the money. Somebody with the money, 401k, a HELOC, cash savings, they have money somewhere, or they may know somebody. You could do like the bank does. The bank will take your money that's sitting there at 1%, and they loan it to me for an auto loan at 7%. They're making money on your money, but you're not, right? So anyway, that's besides the point. What happens is when I'm talking to an investor and I have a property, I'm showing them the deal. I'm letting them know, really I'm buying a property. Let's just say I'm always buying at least 70% under the value, right? So that gives me plenty of room that if they need to, for whatever reason, if I get hit by a truck, their money is secure, right? They can now liquidate that property and still make their money back and plus some, right? So I call them up, I tell them about the deal, I let them know what my plans are, and then I put together two important documents. One is a promissory note, which is a fancy word for an IOU, and it's going to outline what the terms of the deal is, and it's going to outline everything that we discussed. And then the second is a very simple mortgage. It's the same paperwork you would get if you buy a house. Mine is like 400 pages, right? Mm-hmm. And so we sign those documents. The title company is in the middle as well. The title company is, if you're buying a house, the third party. They're the one who is making sure all the checks and balances are there, and I'm not doing anything illegal, and the person I'm working with is not doing anything illegal. And so I'll send that paperwork to the title company, and the title company will record that. And if you look on any of the, county records, the, downtown, that person's name will be named as the mortgagee. So.
Wow. No, that's amazing. So I just want to say something to people out there. I think I saw about 2 or 3 questions, and I will get to them very soon. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. Man, so that's amazing. So if someone's out there and they're like, man, I'm not a 401k millionaire, right? What people were prior to December. Yeah. And I was like, right, there was a lot of millionaires in their 401k.
Yeah, right? A lot of money.
How much? So if someone has like thousands of dollars, about how much money would you say is like, man, I have some money that to give you a call like, yo, I have some money.
Me?
Like they want to give you a call to invest in one of your projects. Like, at what's a good amount? Because obviously I can't call you like, yo, Mike, I got $100. Like, you want to help them out, but it's like, yo, like it's just doing the paperwork and getting a lawyer to look at it is going to cost more than that.
So realistically, man, that's a tricky question because I'm one of those people. It'd be hard for me to tell somebody I can't make it work for them, right? So probably if you came to me with $100, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna point you in a direction of where you can buy the information and you can raise more money. Because even if you don't have the money, somebody you know has the money, and that's the key thing, right? Because even if there's never going to be enough money, and because it's too abundant, right? So if I raise $2 million today, next week I probably need 4, and not saying that I'm being greedy, but that's just how it works, right? Because there's always going to be people who want to put their money to work, and I'm trying to put it to work, and so that's just how it goes, right? So if somebody comes to me with any amount of money, I would say at least $100,000. And I say that because in my market, I'm able to usually buy a property and renovate it and right in that price point, sell it. They can make something that makes sense to them off of that money, and then we do it again. Anything less than that, then I'll probably have to put money with it, and they wouldn't make the same return I would like them to make. So I would say whether it's their money or they pooled the money together with other people, I would say about $100,000 would be a good round number.
All right, perfect. And just because my motor always runs, I know a lot of people probably say this. I already got the permission from my wife. I'm coming to Ohio for like a week. Like,
I'll see you in a minute.
You don't understand,
yeah.
Right? Do you like say me and I have like an uncle or some friends that I know have this money, and I'm like, yo, Mike, I could get you some lenders. Is there a way for someone like me in that respects to say, hey, I brought this deal to you. Yep. Can I get a cut because I got this money too?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, for me, it's about elevate together, right? And so normally in those kind of situations, what I do is, most of the time, people who partner with me, they're gonna get paid like one of 3 ways, right? They're either gonna get paid as a partner, like equity. That means that when I make $10, they make 5 of that 10, right? They got an equity split, a percentage of the profits. The second way is they made a percentage on their money. So if they loan me $10, they may make 11 back, right? I'm gonna give them 11 off their 10. Or if they brought me somebody who gave me $10, then they might make 50 cents for that introduction. But for me, you would make 50 cents every single time that person loaned me money, because soon I want you to be able to loan me the money too, right? Or for you to be able to do the deals that you want to do, or for whatever, right? Because if you do it once, now what? You got to go find me somebody else. But if you can continue to do it, hopefully we can all elevate together. And so that's what happened. If you brought me somebody, I would pay what's called a point to you. What a point is, it's called a percent point, right? So most money, what happens is you will make it annualized. That means that if somebody's getting 10% on their money, annualized, it is broken down between the days of the year, right? So you would take, say, $100, you would divide it by 365, and then you would multiply it by the days that the money is being worked, and that's what they would make back, right? A percent point is different. It is 1% of whatever the total loan is. And so if you brought me somebody and they loan me $10, and I say, hey, Manny, I'm gonna pay you 1% point, then you will make $1. At the time that they
10 cents,
the money,
yeah.
You'll make your $1. Yeah, you'll make it 10 cents. I'm sorry, and that would be it. And so that is the different ways that the money is being used and how people make money off of it.
Okay, so I want to get to these questions. There was one question from Asia, and I might need to have her.
Wait. No, you would make $1.
1% on $100.
No, yeah.
You right? Yeah. So
I was trying to make sure I ain't short you. I don't want.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take the dollar on every 10.
Let me carry the one, cause I ain't. Let me make sure you get yours.
Mhm. So Asia asked, right, and she might have to come and clarify. She said, "Are you saying don't invest the full 6% as suggested?" So I'm not sure which deal she was talking about, or if she was talking about on her first home. So Asia, if you could jump back on and just clarify which deal you were asking that question for, that would be great.
That's her.
That's her. So her question is, how do you know someone's coming to you and giving you the offer is legit? What questions should we ask to make sure that we are treated fairly in the deal?
Okay. So in that, as the lender,
So Asia, as the lender, the buyer, so I'll have her clarify it because
so
the question is.
I'll answer it every single way, right? The key to everything in business is understanding it's trust but verify, right? And so if somebody is telling you something about money, okay, great, perfect. Let me see the documents, all right? If someone is, telling you something about a house, okay, great. Give me the address. Let me look it up, right? I trust you, but I have to verify because that's business. You just don't go off of somebody's word. And so you either do the due diligence yourself or you hire a professional to do it for you because you will much rather pay somebody and save that as opposed to lose it and learn the hard way. And so for us, a lot of times it's the title company who is the one in the middle to make sure everybody's getting what they're supposed to get. And that's on the front end and on the back end.
All right,
Meaning
perfect.
that's on the buy of the property and the sale of the property.
All right, perfect. So we're running down, but I have a few questions. So let me do this one by the private office. I'm not sure the name,
Bugs.
but
It's Bugs.
oh, Bugs. Bugs.
Bugs.
Bugs, right? So he said with COVID, with this COVID stuff going on, I know lenders are my wife handwriting. So I guess lenders are changing the way they lend money. How do you think it's going to be easy to get money moving forward?
Again, we're talking about for me and for everybody who's on here, you have to understand that money is not. I don't really support the institutionalized money. That's the bank, right? Because it comes with too many regulations. It comes with too many hidden fees, and you will lose your pants if you don't know what you're doing. I highly suggest that you find people, network, and raise money with people who will understand what you're trying to do, right? And so the money will come better from a relationship than it will ever come from the bank because you're disposable, right? But if we're building together and you're loaning me money and we're doing what we're supposed to do, then we're all winning, right? I'm much rather help you as an individual than a bank that I don't even know who I'm talking to on the other side of the phone. And so I would say to answer that question, yeah, lenders are titled, right? They should be because they got rules, they got regulations, they will protect themselves, but at any cost, right? It's also their job to play as conservative as possible, because that's what they do. But for me and you, I can understand the deal. I can understand the market just by running the numbers and understanding the timelines. Like for us, the sweet spot is understanding that if we do a rehab and it's, a 30-day rehab or 60-day rehab, that's really allowing us to put the money to work and pull it out before major things can happen in the market, right? COVID-19 is something that has never happened in history, right? Even then, we have never lost on a deal. All of our deals, we just listed another one. I'm not being funny, I just got paid today on a deal, made another 50,000, and it was within 60 days again. And it was delayed because of COVID on the back end, but the deal was bought, rehab, and sold. Everything was protected, it was safe. And so the market is not really slowing down for us. It is still just as hot. Buyers are still wanting to buy properties. Some of the lenders, like on FHA loans and stuff like that, they have stopped or slowed down lending. But conventional, you can still get conventional loan if you want to buy a house, that sort of thing. But on the investor side, it's different. They're a lot more conservative. And so, getting that money, you're going to either need a private investor, which is a person that you know personally or that you've been introduced to, someone in your network, or a hard money lender. And a hard money lender is really they're not a big bank. They're usually like a fund of people who put a lot of money together, $1 billion, say, right, and now they're lending that money to investors, but they're going to have the same like rules and regulations as if a bank would. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rich Dad Poor Dad, the guy that put their money together to buy the brass for the gate.
Yeah.
If you read the book, y'all know what I'm talking about.
So,
let me jump to the. Yeah, let me jump to.
That helped the question. Answer the question.
Yeah, he said he's gonna hit you up at the private office. He's good people's. He's even farther along than me. He has his own business, a barbershop, and he's real good people's, right? You know, my wife even knows him more, so and he's good people. So so when he connects, you could know he's real.
Okay.
Yeah. So someone was saying, do you need a real? So these are gonna be quick questions, all right? With time.
Listen, I'll answer questions to tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. No, because Instagram is gonna cut us off. That's why.
Okay.
So, do you need a real estate agent when you buy property as a real estate investor?
You do not. You do not need an agent. What you need is the correct documents, and those documents vary from state to state. So you do want to understand what the basic laws are within your state, within your city, whatever, to make sure that the information that you need to share or receive is in that paperwork. But just a basic, like for us, it's really one page, purchase or sell agreement, and on the second page is signatures. And so you don't need a realtor. We buy properties every single day. I wish every single day, not quite yet, but we buy a couple of properties, a week, every 2 weeks, just off of a conversation when we are doing it over the phone, usually through a DocuSign, electronic signature. You do not need a real estate agent in your pockets.
Okay, perfect. Next one. Should I invest out of state? Should I invest in out of state properties?
That's really a question of your risk appetite and what you're looking to invest in. Are you investing in something that is going to be a flip, or is that long term? I would say if you're investing out of state, really understand what is going on in that area. I would trust but verify, even if that means taking a trip there, seeing the property, understand who that person is and what you're dealing with, or try to network with other people, talk and have somebody vet that person, and vet that deal before you do it. The good thing about what we do is really you can run and find the information you need to find online really easily if you look. And so I would invest if you're in a market that's not as hot and somebody's telling you like, hey, come invest in Ohio, I would invest in Ohio.
All right. Or I'm guessing they could hit you up and invest too. So last question. Well, I have two questions. So this one is, so tell me a favorite story you faced when investing. So what is it, like a good story you could tell, like when you think of investing, like this deal or this interaction or something?
Man, you know what? It's actually the deal I mentioned, about the 100 units. It's a crazy story. So a friend of mine, he's a mortgage lender. He's in real estate or whatever, and his name's Johnny. Johnny introduced me to a real estate agent here in Columbus, and it's like a city probably about 20 minutes outside, like downtown Columbus, right? And so Gene is his name, and Gene is a realtor who was really big in this city. He called me after we met, and out the blue, he said, "Hey, I got a deal for you. It is, $30,000, but the house has been vacant for 18 years, and you will need to have the money by Wednesday," and it was like Monday, right? So I'm like, all right. I run the numbers, and from what I'm looking at, I could buy the house for $30,000, put like 80 into it, put me at about 110, and then I would sell it for 250, right? That's not important. Well, it kind of is. Gene brought me $100,000 deal out the blue, right? A guy I really don't even know. He calls me up and he tells me I got a deal that you can make $100,000 on, right? So I buy the deal. I start rehabbing it. And while I'm pulling permits, I'm down at the city office, and the guy at the permit office is say, hey, you looking for any more properties? And I'm like, yeah, always. He say, well, here, take this address. This guy's crazy, and if you can get a hold of him and buy the house, you deserve it, right? So I come back, and this is, really the beginning, and I tell the girl who's working with me and say, hey, look up this address, find this person, let's see what's going on. We look it up, and sure enough, the guy had some mental issues, and his son was taking over as a power of attorney. And so he told us that they wanted to sell the property and only get what's left on the mortgage, right? So here I am, I'm rehabbing a property in this little city. I got another one now that I have the opportunity to buy and make another $100,000 if I wanted to rehab it. So instead of rehabbing it or selling it to another investor, I called Gene, the one who brought me the original deal, and I say, hey, Gene, I got a property for you. If you know someone who may be interested in buying it, you can represent me and make a commission and represent the buyer and make a commission. So Gene ended up bringing the buyer in like 45 minutes. The buyer ended up being the mayor of that town.
Oh, Gene's connected.
Yeah. And the mayor of that town is Gene's son-in-law. And so through that relationship, they introduced me to the development director of that town. And the development director of that town, brought me a 5-acre deal that we're going to put 100+ units on. And so, that's a crazy story. It just, blows my mind telling it, but, just doing the right thing, instead of trying to make the 100 or a few extra dollars, just returning the favor, or, paying it forward and backwards or whatever, just doing the right thing. And now, it's probably going to lead to one of the biggest deals, most memorable deals for sure in my career.
I call that legacy for your kids too. So yeah. I have one more question for you. I ask this question to everybody. When you eat cereal, what goes into the bowl first? Cereal or milk?
I don't eat cereal. Ain't nothing going in my bowl. No. Of course, your cereal.
Perfect. Yo, I was shocked. I was shocked when that was it's a big thing. I think I met one person, and basically they say they put a little milk and then they put cereal because they don't like it soggy, but everybody else is thing. So
you
I have
trust people like that, man. You gotta leave people alone. They put the milk in first. You gotta watch them.
So we're going to do this again because you have a lot of knowledge. This is going to end in about 15 seconds. So I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm definitely coming out there to Ohio because it's, just to get the jump. And I want to thank everybody for coming on to this live.